Coming up on the show this week, we take a look at Brendan Fairclough's brand new signature handlebars. We also check out the coolest bike bag ever, which has got some really good features in it. And of course, we've got all the great regular content for you guys. Now, over the last few years, there's been a lot of talk about the offset on fork crowns that is available, and that is basically the relationship between how far forward the fork legs are in relation to the steerer tube. So a lot of manufacturers used to just spec slightly larger offset on 29-inch wheel bikes to increase the agility at lower speed and still retain some of that stability at high speed. Now, a lot of people might not notice this feeling until, of course, you try a shorter offset crown, which is what all of those manufacturers are starting to offer now. And you find that also from Fox and RockShox and other brands as well, you can actually choose the offset and the crown you buy when you buy that fork. Now, we're going to be taking a look at that in a later video, but I just want to draw your attention to something very cool that no one's done before. So Chris Porter from Mojo Rising, and Chris of course is one of the masterminds that's been helping Martin design bike parts and stuff for a few years. Chris is actually experimenting with adjustable offset crowns. Have a look at this on the screen now. So this is on Chris's trail bike, which has some extreme geometry. We will also go and take a look at that particular bike. But he's running a twin crown fork on his trail bike. And it's not because he needs more travel, it's actually because of the performance the fork offers, the stiffness of it. Now, these particular crowns will be available soon, and we're going to take a more detailed look. But if you look underneath them here, there's a unique system in place there. And this is words from Chris. He says, Andrew, this one shows the removable insert from underneath. You take that out and you turn it around to swap to different offsets. It's incredible how much the flex makes the offset change. When you've got a dual crown fork, the offset change of 5mm is massive to the handling. The single crown flexes so much, you actually need less offset. So Chris, as usual, is going against the grain here. All the manufacturers on the single crown forks are bringing that offset back, and Chris doesn't actually think it makes as much difference on those single crown forks, but a significant bigger difference on a twin crown fork. So got some interesting theories and stuff going on there. We're going to take a look at geometry and exactly how that affects your riding very soon. Commencal have just announced they've got a brand new version of the 29er Meta coming, and it's going to be a shorter travel trail bike. Have a look at this one on screen. This one is the British Racing Green one, and as you can see, it's got quite a heavy hitting build on it. But they were very quiet on this. They've not actually given us any more details about the bike, only more details will follow. But look how nice this thing is. Love those orange Fox 36s against that classic British Racing Green there. Could this be just a UK spec bike perhaps? We shall see. Next up, we're going to take a look at Brendan Fairclough's brand new signature handlebar. That's the BF 800, and of course that's made by Deity, which have been one of his sponsors for a while. Now, the bar itself on the screen comes in 4 different colours. There is full black stealth, so it's black on black there. There's also black with red, black with white, or black with orange, as you can see on Brendan's bike there. And that very cool shot of him sending it sideways. So the bar itself has got a 30mm rise. It's a 31.8 on the clamp there, and it's made of 7075 T73 aluminium. It's an 800mm length, and it's marked for cutting, although Brendan doesn't seem to run his at the full 800. On the markings itself, actually states that he cuts his at the 780 mark, so that's obviously his sweet spot. There's also markers for your controls for a real accurate setup, and they weigh 343 grams. All really cool stuff, but the really nice thing is the fact that if you are the original owner of these bars, i.e. if you buy them, you qualify for a lifetime crash replacement warranty, which is amazing on a set of downhill bars. Obviously, people are going to use these on enduro bikes and trail bikes as well, but it's just a nice reassurance to have on something that arguably puts up with a lot of stick, especially with crashes and a sort of rough and tumble approach to that style riding. So that's a really nice handlebar, that. So we'll be taking a look at those in the flesh at some point, but check them out. Next up, we've actually had one of these turn up in office. Douchebags are actually now doing a helmet bag, and actually it's one of the nicest ones we've seen. It's a protective bag, it's one size fits all. The whole thing just unzips. I've got my latest helmet in here at the moment. I actually don't need this bag because I've got a helmet bag already, but check how nice that is and check how well it fits. Helmet just sits right inside there, nice and protective. It's got a nice little surface on the inside there that's easily cleanable. It also means if your helmet is dirty from riding, you just chuck it straight in, easy to clean the bag afterwards. And of course you could just use this as a general travel bag. You could walk and play with all sorts of stuff in it, or you could even use it as a cat bag or maybe a bowling ball bag, who knows. But Nice bit of kit there from Douchebags. Next up isn't exactly news, but it's something that's turned up here, which I think is really interesting. A lot of you guys are going to be into that. So Whistler Performance Lubricants, they're certainly new on my radar. It's a father-son duo team, and they've got proper science behind their stuff. But what really separates them apart, I mean, they make a lot of different lubricants, greases, chain oils, all that sort of stuff, is they're completely environmentally friendly. No caution on here. You don't see that skull and crossbones warning, you know, you don't want to get the stuff near your eyes or anything. This stuff is safe for mechanics, it's safe for the environment, it's not toxic, there's no petroleum in it, there's no PTFEs, and it's fully biodegradable. They have a whole range of different stuff, like lower leg lube here, we've got fork oil, I've got fork boost lubricant here, there's some different greases. I just love the fact that it's made in Canada, it's low toxicity, it's really good for the environment. It's a clean oil, as it were. And in the UK, it's exclusively distributed by TF Tune Shocks. So they're our friends just down the road. And of course, you can get this globally by looking at the Whistler Performance Lubes website. Now, a lot of people are aware of Mavic, and primarily for their excellent wheel sets and rims that they've always produced. And of course, developing the UST tubeless system. But Mavic actually makes a really good riding kit, especially footwear. So for example, the Maverick Alpine XL, check this one on the screen here. It's a pretty old shoe now, but it had one of the best soles at the time. One of the things that clipless pedal riders used to suffer from was actually walking off the bike. Now Mavic hail from Annecy, also alongside their sister sort of company, Solomon, which you're probably well aware of for making excellent mountain footwear and trail running shoes. They specialised in making them the best they could possibly be off the bike, and then obviously made them an excellent riding shoe as well. Now, they've got a brand new range out called the XA Pro. Check them out on the screen now. Of course, this one is the black and yellow model. There are various different colours on there, but just look at the shape of that shoe. It shares a lot of similarities with those Solomon trail running shoes, like the Speed Cross, for example. Now, the sole on there, of course, also has similarities. It's made from Conta Grip, and it's called the Energy Grip sole. So this sole is supposed to be really, really comfortable in the saddle and also excellent off the bike. So they say it's 20% more grip in the wet and the dry when you're sort of walking off the bike than any other sort of clipless style mountain bike shoe out there. Of course, that's a bold statement, but I completely believe it because their soles are excellent. There's an enormous cleat recess on there, and look at the lugs on the bottom of that sole. They're really quite openly spaced. Now, most mountain bike shoes are good and admirable in a lot of conditions, but walking in muddy conditions tends to be something that they do fall apart on. They become so clogged up you can barely clip back in. You end up having to bash your feet on the pedals to clear that mud away. Now, Mavic have developed this to actually sort of resist that completely, and it looks like a really, really good shoe. Of course, the colourways might not be, there's a few more on screen now, they might not be to your taste, but the shoe itself looks phenomenal. They've also got a brand new trail helmet too. So it's got huge vents on there, and they're claiming it's got 10% more shock absorption than the industry standard, and it uses EPS 4D constructions. It's got maximum protection from impacts on all sides. It's quite a cool shape as well. What do you think of that? It's quite interesting the way the peak comes out from the bottom rather than shaping from the whole front of the helmet. Let us know what you think of the helmet and the shoes in the comments below. Okay, welcome to Bike Cave. This is the section of the show where we get to check out where you guys store your bikes, where you work on your bikes, you tinker, you clean them, and you upgrade them. That place could be a shed, it could be the kitchen, it could be literally anywhere. Doesn't matter. Where you work on your bikes is up to you, and we want to see it. So get those pictures in, and also make sure you watch this section of the show every week, because you might get some great ideas from all the other entries about ways to sort of do better stuff in your own bike caves. So first up, and this one, I'm amazed by this before I've even read it. This is from Adrian Moore, he calls himself AD. Love the show. This is my new Canyon Spectral 27.5 and my bike cave. Hope you like it. I've got a 3D printer, which is very handy for all sorts of jobs. And I've recently made a tubeless tyre inflator from sewage pipe and a gas valve. Works great. Sorry, I'm skipping the rest of this. I just need to look at your pictures, dude. Like, perfect workbench ratio, their size in relation to the bike. You've got plenty of room, swivel like vice on the end there. Like that sewage pipe sort of conversion thing that you've made for tubeless inflation, that looks really cool, lady. Can you send some more pictures in of how you built that? Because that could make a really cool video. Like, it looks really good from what I can see there. I've just noticed that 3D printer, flipping heck, that looks amazing. What you make in the 3D printer? Like, send some, do you make any bike stuff like fork top caps or anything? Let us know what you make. That's an expensive bit of kit, though, isn't it? Oh, and I like your tool board. I like the fact that you've got the outlines of all of your tools. So if someone borrows some tools from you, you can retrace where they're supposed to go, the correct orientation on the wall there. Lots of lubes in that. Is that a DeWalt drill in the corner? Nice. Always like a spirit level as well. Got several of those hanging around. Silicone suspension lube there. So you're definitely a man after my own heart there. Someone who likes to maintain stuff. Is that a didgeridoo? Flipping heck. That's massive. It's almost as big as your tool board. Loving the Canyon, by the way. Nice looking bike there. And I do like the fact that you've done your own little mod on the chainstay there to quieten down. But man, that's such a good looking bike. You could have done a neater job on that, dude. I can't believe that that's the best job that you can do with all of those tools and all that stuff you have. I reckon you can make a really, really neat one. Go on, get it done and send it in for top mods. Nice one, AD. Thanks for sending that entry in. Next one is from Colton Bailey. I've been meaning to send this in for a while. This is my bike cave while I was at graduate school in Moscow, Idaho, USA. It's in a dining area and the living room of my small apartment on the top floor. I've got 3 bikes, 2016 Diamondback line, nice, 2008 Iron Horse 7-point, oh wow, I've not seen those for years, and 2005 Trek 4500, my first mountain bike when I was young. My roommate keeps his single speed bike in the rack as well, and this is where I did all my own bike work for the last 3 years and even some of my master's research. I've recently moved to Oregon for a new job where I have a garage space to expand my cave. I'll send photos of the new place when it's done. Hey, do some before and after shots as well, Colton, love to see that. I'll tell you what, this is like a really, really good use of how you can use a really small space. I can see the kitchen units on the left there, so you've clearly just sort of shoehorned this into the corner of the room. It's actually really good. So you've got a desk in the corner there with your computer and your second screen. You've got a bench there. You've got all the things you need. Pegboard at the back. I like that sort of workbench you've got that's got its own sort of built-in pegboard and magnetic tray and stuff. That's really good. Looks like it's got a light built into it too. Good stereo down the bottom and a selection of power tools there. I really like it. That's an ideal use of space. That's really nicely done. Tyres on the wall. I quite like the picture of the moon as well, actually. Did you take the picture? Let us know. That's nice. I like it. Nice, wicked. Yeah, make sure you send in pictures of the new place before and after as well, because it's always cool to see what it was and where it's going to go. Next up is from Jesse Schultz, who lives within sight of Vancouver. So he's got a Brody and a Rocky Mountain Instinct, and this is his bike cave. So let's check this one out. Oh, nice, serious amount of Canada flags and stickers I can see in there. Loads of tool chests as well. Big roll cab, in fact 2 roll cabs there. Park work stand down the back. Nice sort of Honda poster too. Ducati, nice. Yeah, that is nice. Oh, I love what you've done with those cranks holding the shop towel there. That is a nice idea. I'm having that one. Thank you very much, Jesse. That's a great idea. I've got loads of old bent cranks from over the years. Liking that old school road bike as well. Is that? I don't even know what it is. I can't see the graphics on it. That's really quite nice. I know I probably shouldn't be saying that on a mountain bike channel, but it is a really nice bike. But yeah, all good. Got everything in there. And I can see a pair of retro bombers down there. So are they junior tees? I think there must be a junior tee. Unless you're lucky enough to have the super tee, of course. But yeah, it looks like a set of junior tees to me. Nice work. Thank you very much for sending that one in, Jesse. And we are out of the bike cave. But please continue sending those in. Genuinely love seeing them and rambling on about them. Sorry, I absolutely love seeing this stuff. So now it's time for a rewind. This is our retro part of the GMBN Weekly Tech Show. Don't forget you can send your entries in to the usual address and use that hashtag rewind. I know a lot of you use retro as well. That will do. I can find that stuff. It's all good. First up is a regular. This is from Greg Sapaniak. Hi Doddy, I thought I'd share my latest top mod and stroke retro ride. The mod being that I've had a metal head tube badge made as a one-off for my 1998 Kona Mini Moolah. I built the bike up from scratch with a 1x drivetrain and a professional custom paint job. It rides surprisingly well still. I'll tell you what, that looks rude. Love the bombers on there. That's the original. In fact, I lie. That's the Z1 BAM. That's not the original Z1s. The original Z1s had the dual disc brake tabs on both sides, and the dropouts are a bit different, as well as the arch. I had a set of those BAMs actually. Amazing fork. I completely regret selling them, even though I wouldn't use them now. But yeah, amazing. Really nice to see that Kona. Love those early graphics on there. period saddle. It looks like an Ozonic Shorty stem, but at the time, of course, everyone wanted the Ozonic Shorty stem, but they couldn't actually get them because they're flipping expensive for what they were. So there were loads of cheap knockoffs floating around. So not to suggest your stem is cheap, but there were a lot of really good stems out there that were a lot cheaper than the Ozonic. Loving that head tube badge. That was well worth getting custom made. That is trick as anything. Nice FSA headset. Oh, a little mint sauce sticker on the seat post as well. Club Roost brake booster. That looks nearly identical to the Odyssey brake booster that I used to have. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually the same one, just in a different colour. Brake boosters, of course, they existed when cantilever brakes or V-brakes, like pre-disc brakes, basically they levered so much force to put the pads onto the rim that actually ended up pushing the frame out. So brake boosters would basically sit on the outside of the brakes, basically to help resist that, so to give you a nice positive feeling brake. The downside is they didn't always look that neat. This one does, and they collected mud because they had to be really close to the tyre in order to work really well. But yeah, small little fact for you there. But yeah, very cool to see that. Thanks for sending that one in, Greg, and love the fact that you obviously watch the show quite a lot because you see your name popping up from time to time. So thank you for taking part. And next up we've got Seth Rathman. Doddy, loved the channel. This is my friend's Cannondale Super V that he still rides. I believe it's 1995. He's finally getting a new bike this year after getting back into riding after a few years of not regularly riding, but can still tear it up on this bad boy. Man, that's so nice. That's one of the slightly newer ones. The original ones had a high single pivot on them. This is the lower single pivot, so it's way more active. And in fact, it actually says on the chainstay there, Super V Active. And it's got the head shock up front. So the head shock, in case you don't know, is basically housing a shock absorber inside the head tube of the fork and using regular rigid fork legs. So the fork was incredibly stiff, which was one of the early problems of telescopic forks, which were a bit bandy in those days. And it had what we now see on the lefty design. This particular one had a four-sided system. And it had needle bearings, just like the proper lefty fork does, but all housed inside the head tube. They were really cool. I know a lot of people didn't get on with them too well, but I thought it was a really ingenious way of getting around those early problems that telescopic forks had. So good, and obviously housed inside there is fairly maintenance free, although I heard they're a bit of a nightmare to work on, but I wouldn't care. I'd love one of those. You know, it's a really nice looking bike. I don't know what it is. Cannondale, like Yetis have got that thing. If Yeti turns up in Bike Vault over on GMBN on the Dirt Shed show, they pretty much always get a super nice. Cannondale have got that same thing for me. I mean, maybe it's just when I was growing up I could never afford a Cannondale and they were always like the bike to have with a huge oversized tubing. But yeah, just a lovely bike, and a classic Team Cannondale colours there. The red black with yellow graphics on there. Fox Alps 4-shock. Man, nice looking bike. Look how narrow those bars are. Look at the bar width to stem length ratio. That's hilarious compared to bikes these days, you see. Ah, cool. So that was some really good little trip down memory lane there. Especially love the Cannondale. I'm not brand loyal to Cannondale or anything, but there's something about them that I just love, especially that old stuff. In fact, did you know that before they made bikes, Cannondale made bags? Weird fact that. I don't know who put the site together, but if you want to see all of the early catalogues for Cannondale and go way back to the beginning, check out vintagecannondale.com. There'll be a link to it in the description below this video, and it's got PDFs of all of the catalogues pretty much from the beginning. It's a really cool site. Obviously, bear with it, it's quite slow. I'm guessing it's quite an old site that's not really updated much anymore, but it has got some fantastic stuff to look through. Go all the way to the beginning and you will be amazed at some of the stuff they used to make. Alright, now it's time for Top Mods. This is where you all upgrade your bikes. It could be a pair of handlebar grips, it could be changing a chain and cassette when they've worn out, or it could be putting a new set of suspension forks on. Whatever it is, whatever you're doing, let us know about it. Be proud of what you're doing, and we love to see that people are working on their bikes. So first up, we've got an entry from Cryan. Hi Doddy, hopefully you'll receive this email. My name's Cryan, I live in Western Australia, and this is my bike. It's a custom 2016 Specialized Stumpy 29. It's got the carbon frame, the pikes, nuke-proof Horizon wheel set, 800mm bars, custom fork and rim decals, Hope 4-port caliper on the front, 2-port on the rear, bike yoke linkage, they're trick as anything, those things, with a Fox DPX2, that's a really, really nice shock as well. And it's got carbon SRAM cranks, death grips, that's the DMR grips, the Brendan Fairclough signature, 203mm rotors. Oh man, you've got some serious gear on this. In this image is a bit of DIY. So I've got a pool noodle, so that's one of those floaty things that divide up areas of swimming pools. And you can use them floats, obviously. I've made it into my own cush core. The hefty price tag didn't thrill me, so I spent $5 on a noodle, and with some cable ties, here I am. I found I'm running nearly 3 times the amount of sealant I normally would. I guess it absorbs the sealant, it's that sort of material. But the benefits have been great so far. No tyre peel, that's burping to other people when cornering, and increased grip. That's a really, really good mod. I'm well into that. That's good work. I bet like you could find other materials that work as well that don't absorb the liquid. It does make me want to sort of mess around a bit and try and find another cheap solution. But that's really cool to see, and loving the bike, by the way. That's really nice. A lot of attention to detail done on that. And next up is from the Buttery family, from Gary Buttery, in fact. Hi Doddy, here are my mods I've done on my bike over the last week or so. I installed a front mudguard, InvisiFrame protection kit. So if you don't know what InvisiFrame is, it's basically a 3M protection kit, so the heli-tape stuff, but they're custom cut and shaped to fit a number of different bikes, so you don't have to sit there faffing around for ages. You go on the InvisiFrame website, it's a really, really cool site, it's a really good product, and they've got all different bike sizes and bike models for virtually everything that exists out there. And of course they've got a few other generic kits that you can customize yourself. They're actually really good value if you think of what it does to protect the paintwork on your bike. I can't recommend them enough if you're buying a new bike or you've got a really high-end bike with a fancy paint job. It's worth getting one of those kits on the bike before you take it to the trails. You remove the kit afterwards and the bike will look brand new. It's much like having a wrap on a car. Really good kits. So I installed mudguard, frame protection kits, new grips and some crank boots. Would love you to show them on the show. Yeah, of course. Definitely. Love the crank boots, match the grips, and of course the RockShox decals on the shock there. Good pedal choice as well. I like those pedals. Big fan of DMR. Good to see that ODI grips, such a classic brand, and they always make great stuff. Yeah, and the InvisiFrame kit, of course, it is hard to see when it's on the bike. Of course, it's in the name, InvisiFrame, but you can see where the front of the head tube there, where it splits, where it just sort of joins at the front. But it's so neat, and you could barely see it. They're really good. But obviously the InvisiFrame kits, they're easy to fit, but it takes a long time to fit them. You're supposed to install them wet, comes with a squeegee and a full detailed instruction kit. Basically you float them around until they're in the correct place. You use the squeegee to get rid of the water and the air bubbles, and they sit on there perfectly. Really satisfying thing to do. And I think actually maybe we should do something a bit more detailed on frame protection. I did do this video on frame protection where I put a sort of a homemade version of the kit on some of the areas on Neil's particular bike that are susceptible to that. But maybe we should do a bit more on frame protection. As you can see, I'm no longer in the tech set. I'm downstairs in the dirt shed because we've got a very big tech of the week this week. This is from Douchebags and it's called The Savage. It's their brand new bike bag, and it's great because they're on board as one of our travel partners now, so it means we get to use these bags when we travel with our bikes all around the world. Now, as you may or may not know, it can be a bit of a difficulty getting a decent bike bag to fit modern mountain bikes, and of course one that's going to do the job of protecting your bike and also make it easy to travel across airports and other such places with large amounts of luggage. Now, over the years I've travelled a lot with cardboard boxes and various different bike bags, and even some of those hard boxes you see road bikes in. Now, they're probably the worst type for mountain bikers because your bike's a lot heavier and they're on 4 wheels and they topple over. Now, the first point about this that I absolutely love is it's got huge wheels. They look like rollerblade wheels at the bottom here, and they've got a really wide base, so it's really easy to wheel. And obviously you can do that while you're still wheeling along your big luggage bag at the same time. Now at the front here, you've got clips, so you can clip on other bags as well to this. So if you use any other douche bags in the range, they'll clip onto that. And you've got 2 choices of handle to wheel it by. I emphasize it's the easiest bag to just pick up and wheel around. Absolutely brilliant. But it's what inside that actually counts with this particular bag, because they've got a brand new system in here. It's very different to what exists on the market. Now, current other bags that have got decent wheels on and are easy to wheel around, they do have a lot of padding on the inside, but they can still be subject to the bikes being squashed by their own parts inside the bag. The real selling point of this is it's got a roll cage on the inside, and they're taking technology used from roll cages inside cars, and it's actually quite genius how it works. So, as you can see, when I undo the bag, it comes apart nicely. On either side, you've got these big wheel pockets. On both sides, you've got little compartments here for pedals and multi-tools and all sorts of spare parts you need to travel with. And you've got the blocks here for handlebars, the block for holding your front fork, and then of course you've got the main frame. Now this frame, when the bag's not surrounding it, moves around a bit and it's very easy to take apart. You simply unclip, and it's much like a tent. You know, you've got like the tent pole style system, the elastic inside, so it folds completely flat for storage. But when combined with the bag, you've got the structure being held together by how strong the actual bag is as well. And it becomes rigid. This thing is absolutely solid. So there you go, it's a bike bag that will fit all modern mountain bikes, even the big 29er bikes like I like to ride, which impresses me because a lot of the bike bags, however good they are, you just can't fit the big modern bikes in. So this one size fits all. Of course, it's going to protect my bike really well, and I can't wait to go somewhere exciting enough that I'm going to need to use it. There we go, there's another weekly GMBN Tech show in the bag. For a couple more great videos, click down here at the bottom on the right if you want to see hardtail versus full suspension, the Geek Edition. And if you want to see what to do as a bit of a pre-ride check, some of these are for self-preservation and some of them are to look after your bike, click down here. As always, click on that round globe to subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you like the GMBN Tech show, give us a thumbs up.